rule number one, probably the hardest rule to follow, is don't be a
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Bikes and Bourbon. I'm Russ from Pathless Pedal.
And I am Toffer from Pedal Missoula.
From Pedal Missoula.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that out now.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people have asked, they're like, is by bike path, do you mean like the physical bike path? Is there a website, the bike path?
Oh, yeah, no, I just, you know, I'm a dad, so about 99% of my riding is done on the bike path.
Right.
Let's get into the bourbon first,
Okay.
before bikes.
All right.
We have a Stagg Jr.
So this is a gift bourbon.
This is gift bourbon, okay.
Yeah, it's from Laura's brother. He who helped us with our training for Dirty Kansas. So that makes Matt Crawford
King of the bourbon. Yeah, so we've been sampling it. You've been sipping on it, I think, previously, over the last, and you've been enjoying it. 63%.
Yeah.
Like over 100 proof.
A couple things about this Stagg Jr. It's a barrel strength.
Yeah.
So that means they pop open the barrel and put it right into the bottle.
Unfiltered.
Typically, some distillers will water it down just to get it to more drinkable levels. But this is actually pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, like I think for something that you might, like if you know the processes, you might think like, wow, we're already getting weird with our words.
Right.
I've had like half an ounce.
Oof. You have to be careful when you smell this.
Yeah,
I just went in a little bit deep and like.
I do feel like it tests your like ability to kind of like negotiate the alcohol in it.
Right, right. This is probably not a good beginner bourbon, but if you've acclimated, you can kind of pick through it.
Yeah.
And
definitely, especially on the nose. I mean, I feel like the light pour is also because you don't need a lot in your glass because it'll just overwhelm your nose. So,
but for big bourbon, I feel like it's surprisingly drinkable. It's pretty smooth.
Yep.
I was getting almost like a caramel apple. Mm-hmm. Like like when you go to the fair and they've got like those candied apples and they dip it in caramel. So some fruit sweetness, some sugar sweetness, some caramel. It's pretty good.
It's really nice. It is amazingly drinkable for
something so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a pinch, you can use this for fuel for your Trangia.
Yeah.
It'll be the most expensive alcohol stove ever.
Yeah. If you run out on your camp out and you just need flask, whiskey becomes
right.
alcohol fuel container.
So off to the bike stuff. I think in this episode we're gonna. I posted on the Instagrams kind of a rough, I don't know, manifesto of the Supple life.
Yeah, we've been kind of going back and forth over it, and it's been something that been on our minds, been on your mind for a long time, and so talk about a few things here.
Bikepacking.com membership.
Yes,
you.
Beautiful journal that
by Bunyan Velo, Lucas.
Yeah, the Bunyan Velo bikepacking people. I think they've been collaborating on different things over the years. I don't know, they feel like, kind of in lockstep in a lot of ways. And they're finally kind of officially melding their two worlds into this, should be a beautiful print publication.
Right, but before we get into that, the Supple life.
Supple life.
So I posted this on Instagram and it's amazing. This might be the crappiest photo I've ever posted, but, but a lot of engagement. And what really spurred me on to post this was actually a comment. Let me
I might have.
No, I think it's here. From Fast Cyclists, he says, "Wow, dude, if you hated the training that much, then you are not, capitalized, a cyclist. Like, not at all. Sorry, period. Maybe find a different sport. Hey, so I don't know, maybe Canadian?"
Yeah, definitely Canadian.
But it really made me think about like how narrow a view some people have of what a cyclist is. Like, are you only a cyclist if you're trying to race, go fast, get the podium? Because that kind of cuts out like a vast swath of people.
Right. Well, it also makes me, it makes me think about what the whole cyclist, the term cyclist itself.
Right.
Sometimes I find that I get uncomfortable using that word just because I'm like, nah, I'm just a person who likes to ride a bike.
Right.
Because cyclists can sometimes be...
I think you do get an image, right? When someone says cyclist, like...
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically me, but like maybe 30 pounds lighter, and then wearing all Lycra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more carbon. You know, so that comment kind of spurred me on to like, well, okay, so we've been kind of goofing around with this whole Supple Life thing.
Yeah.
And yes, it refers to the tires.
What you mean by that spurred you on? It means these things hurt. We're human.
Right.
We read these things and it's like.
And then we drink bourbon.
Oh yeah. The scornful comments.
Yeah, I mean,
keeping us drinking since.
I always wonder if like
early
people that post these, you know, hateful asinine comments, if they would actually say those things in person. You know, I mean, maybe they would. Okay, good on them for that. But so Supple Life, manifesto. Rule number 1, probably the hardest rule to follow, is don't be a
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll let you maybe elaborate a little bit. I mean, we've been seeing, so I think that we've kind of seen that message getting out there a little bit more. I think Ramble Ride posted.
Yeah, they had a water bottle that said don't be I know, do you follow Target Salad?
Yeah.
So he had the Tariq Silly fan club.
Yeah.
And I think it had 2 rules, like ride bikes and try not to be. So like many people have variations of this.
Right.
But you know, I was like, well, should I word this differently? But then it's like, come on, we're adults.
It's a nice like 4-word sentiment here. Don't be a.
So hard to follow.
I don't know. Maybe less said about this one.
Right.
Because I think it applies like to number 2.
Right.
Ride what you like. Ride how you like.
Right.
And so, kind of that non-judgmental going in, doing you.
Yeah.
What you're comfortable with.
Yeah, because we definitely have preferences for the kinds of bikes we like to ride, the kinds of riding we like to do.
Yeah.
You know, but if you want to, you know, ride fast and, you know, do all that stuff, you know, measure the watts, you know, we're not going to crap on people that want to do that. I mean, it may not be our thing.
No.
Could be your thing.
Yeah.
You know, I totally respect that. And that's, I mean, that kind of reciprocity is all I think we're really asking for. It's like our type of cycling might not be the same one as yours, but I don't think it should be any, I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, sometimes I feel like these things come in, you know, you have like a stage of life that you might be in.
Right.
And so you're maybe not into something at a certain point. But then I remember that after your Kansas experience, maybe you'll never, like, maybe there's just things that like, you're just like, it's not for me.
Right.
And I think though that's still, like, that's one of the things about being, like, not being a like, that's not for me. Or like, I don't find a lot of pleasure and enjoyment in that. But cool that you do.
Right.
And like, I mean,
I'm not going to poop in your soup. You know? It's like...
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but that is true. Like, I was going to do a video at some point about my life stages as a cyclist. So I was noob, and then angry bike advocate, and then got into touring, and then flirted a little bit with like road cycling, and now this kind of gravel, like more laid back bike fishing thing. And we all go through phases. I mean, it's only natural and human to have different interests and kind of express those interests over time.
Yeah, and it's like, because, you go, but I mean, I think that what you'll maybe find is that you have certain types of cycling that you go kind of revert back to. And so that's like the thing that you got to kind of like keep an ear out for, pay attention, listen for those moments when you're like, oh, hey, like I like this type of stuff and I tried that, but like I didn't like it for this reason, or maybe like I want to take some of what I learned doing that. I don't know, because there's been moments where like being a more like fit cyclist that like was really into going faster, like taught me a lot, made me feel more confident on the bike.
Right.
There's times mountain biking now, I've been trying to do more mountain biking. It's made me a lot better bike handler, just like, or just more confident on the bike, more comfortable.
Right.
So there's like times where it's like, I don't think I consider myself a very good mountain biker at all.
Right.
But I enjoy it kind of because it can be fun to get out into the mountains. But then also it's like, oh, it kind of actually helps me a little bit.
Yeah. I think running
around.
Like everyone should try every kind of cycling, because you're going to learn something different.
Yeah.
You know, like as a commuter, you're going to learn, about road safety and, kind of, just the dynamics of urban space.
Right.
It preps you for bike touring and, where you're not overly concerned about weight. But then, it's good to hop on a good road bike now and again just to see, okay, this is what a super efficient ride feels like, or
Right.
like I've dabbled in lots of different disciplines, and like I feel like they've all taught me something.
Yeah.
And I don't think like one is categorically better than the other.
No. Like riding on a velodrome. I feel like
that I've not done.
Yeah, like that's just something that like everybody should do. Like it's silly. Like it's really fun, and then like especially when you get up to speed just enough, where you can like enjoy like being banked.
Right.
Like and you're like, and then all of a sudden all the maths kick in. And you're just like able to go. I mean, there's just things like that. Yeah, where you're just like, that's fun. Like, I don't necessarily need to like race on a velodrome ever again, but like I would definitely like suggest people just like try it once, because it's like a fun thing to do. Ride what you like
and how you like to do it.
That's it. Yeah, that's like.
I mean, I think it's part of like being a decent human being. All right, so point number 3, aero is not everything. Like I feel like,
oh man.
Especially after I'd posted the Dirty Kansas video, there's a lot of like talk about efficiency, like, wearing long sleeve shirts. I lost so many watts, not being clipped in, I lost so many watts.
Right.
And that's important for some people, but I don't think it's like the ultimate rubric, the ultimate metric for how you should decide how to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I rode Rebecca's Private Idaho last year. Mm-hmm. It was a great event, gravel event, but the only bike that I had kind of like ready for that at the time is my Page Street, which has fenders on it and a basket on the front.
Nice.
And so...
did you get funny looks?
Oh yeah, like and people were totally like, "Hey, it's the basket bike guy." But it was funny though, because it was like also like it was a bunch of people on like one buys, and on the climb, I had like a lot of extra gearing, and I was able to just like go on up the mountainside there, and even though there was a basket on the front, and then all my food that I needed was right there in front of me.
Right. Advantages.
If I needed a snack. So yeah, like aero's not everything. Sometimes you need snacks and you don't want to like be digging in some pocket.
Right.
Or maybe your snack doesn't fit in a pocket.
Or maybe your snack is a burrito and not like a pile of goo.
Right.
And then like you shouldn't, again, give people crap for that.
Right. Burritos though, I feel like they're pretty aero.
They are.
Like does aero go with being like a weight weenie?
I think so. I think they're cousins.
Because that's the other thing, like aero, I mean like the whole weight thing where I feel like sometimes people are getting away from that, but every so often like it crops back up. And I always love that people put things like in how much things weigh, like in grams or something. And I'm just like, I don't know, like that's like not a relevant like number to me.
Being a weight weenie, aerodynamics, it's totally fetishized. And it's like to the point where if you do something that doesn't conform to that, like people like look down on you,
right?
Which is like, I don't know. I think it's absurd.
I think maybe because we are coming from a more touring, urban riding, like some of that stuff, like it's like I don't know, you have bags and they're full of stuff and like, like you just are like okay with stuff being a little bit heavier maybe, or you're not aero because that doesn't matter, like how fast you cover your like 50 miles a day touring doesn't.
Right.
I mean, somebody who's like not even new, but even like an intermediate rider, I don't think it improves your enjoyment of riding that much.
No,
so to focus on that, I think it's just like a weird talking point that makes you have something to like show off. Like you have like a thing that you can talk about, but it doesn't mean anything. Like it's just
right. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever like moving at the speeds where those marginal gains are going to make a huge difference.
Right.
And also like there's always, I mean it's a dragon that you'll never catch. You can chase it all you want, but then there's always going to be something that's lighter, more aerodynamic, and I feel like it just leads to unhappiness in some ways.
Yeah. I just thought I recently have been reading Twitter more, which is not a good thing to do, I would say.
There's more characters to read.
There's more characters to read, but then it's like always like if you ever try to stay like up to date with like your feed or like it's a losing battle.
It is.
Give up the ghost.
So aero is not everything.
Nope.
I'm not going to discount it for people that race, for people that are chasing the podium. Then definitely aero is one of those things you should. But I think for many cyclists, for people that tour, that commute, that just want to, I think number 4, have fun on a bike.
Right.
It shouldn't be. I don't think we should kick people in the head because they're not wearing the most aerodynamic clothing.
I was going to this just for folks, because the next one, have fun here.
Right.
So I'm getting ready to have more fun. But I was
126% at the time.
Are you having fun? Are you truly enjoying it? And I think sometimes the weight stuff and the aero stuff is not about fun. It's more about some perceived how you should be a cyclist or how you should ride bikes and what it means to be competitive.
Right.
I would say if you need a reference point for this, Bailey Newberry on a single speed just got 2nd place on the Tour Divide.
Yeah.
And it's that would be never something you would be you should ride a single speed on the Tour Divide.
Right.
That'll make you faster.
Right.
But for him, it had to be fun on some level because he kept going even though, like that.
So people have different, I think maybe opinions or ideas of what fun is, and that's okay.
Right,
it's part of, you refer back to rule number 2, which is ride what you like and how you like it.
Yeah.
Supple Life manifesto, rules, credo, I don't know what we're going to call it, but so when we refer to Supple Life, yes, there is the technical aspect of a particular style of bike with particular tires, but also in the greater philosophical sense, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. We're not talking about, did you see the QBP on their Instagram released a 650B to 700 comparison of
Oh, really?
tire
diameters?
To help explain what the whole thing is about. There's that part of the Supple Life that requires
math
and science. And then there's what we're talking about for the last 10 minutes here, which is not scientific. It's more of a feeling.
Bike feels.
I have to say, now that we've gotten another pour here, it's that whole caramel apple thing that you were describing is what makes this amazing.
Yeah.
This is this is that. It's worth enjoying.
So the next topic, bikepacking.com has released a membership model, partnered up with Lucas from Bunyan Bellow. So as a member, you get 2 issues of Bikepacking Journal.
It's twice a year, so it's a yearly deal, I guess.
Get access to merch. And the feels of supporting the community.
The community. I mean, it's I guess it kind of makes me wonder if at some point maps or routes would go behind some type of paywall.
I think this is testing the waters.
But for right now, it's the same bikepacking.com that you know and love. It just now has a beautifully produced. We haven't seen it, but if it's anything like Bunyan Bellow kind of.
Right.
What Lucas has done with that, it'll be beautiful.
Right.
and amazing. So it's interesting to see that because I feel the kind of obviously the oldest example I think we have is adventure cycling, which is
they also have membership.
Because how do you pay? It takes time to go figure out a route. A lot of times it's ground truthing, you gotta you can see it on a satellite. You can Google Maps tells you there's a road there.
Right.
You can get out some old maps and books and kind of see that at some point somebody says there was going to be a road, especially when you're looking at gravel stuff. This is not so much for paved stuff because that's more established. But so it takes time to go out there and find the routes to make sure that it's rideable, or even if there is a road, is it rideable? Is it worth
and this is
recommending to people?
Yeah, so this is if you guys have seen the older PLP talks, this is a question I brought up a couple times with Sarah Swallow. It's should route creators be paid? Or is it just Wild West, everything's free? Shouldn't they be compensated for time, resources? Is the internet's ready to pay for something like that just because we've had free access to it for such a long time?
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that they should be paid. just because it's time and money, and they're doing it for the love, but love doesn't pay rent all the time.
Well, I mean, in some ways, I guess coming at it from, if you're, I don't know, a writer or an artist or any type of person who like
you're
creates something. I mean, yes, it's like, that's like saying that like an artist shouldn't be paid because like paint exists in the world.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, but it's how they use that paint.
Or that they shouldn't be paid because they like doing it, and that should be payment enough.
Right. And it's like, well, yeah, just because it exists in the world doesn't mean, and they enjoy it, doesn't mean that it should just be something that like we all get to go and just enjoy. Like, it takes time, and there's a lot of, problems with things. There's a lot of determining if it's actually what route is rideable through a place. One of my favorite things was reading about the guy who created or who like scouted the original, or who like Great Divide.
Yeah.
Because it's just like an amazing thing to think about that. Yeah, somebody had to actually like make sure it connected.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting times. I mean, I think we make content on the website, on the YouTube channel, and everything, and advertising dollars, not so good.
Yeah.
Like there's only a few brands with the resources to pay those rates. And there's
by those rates you mean like rates that somebody could actually like
make a living,
like eat dinner every night,
right?
Pay rent,
right?
Things like that. Like there's the big expenses in life.
Yeah. So limited number of brands with the resources and the willingness to pay for advertising.
Yeah.
And also, compound that with like almost a limitless number of websites, podcasts, YouTube channels that
Instagram feeds,
right? That want or need some money. So, I think, in like for us as Paddle Has Pedaled, we saw this. Like we have no ads on the website. Our tact has been kind of a direct appeal to viewers and readers, just because the bike industry doesn't want another mouth to feed, And I feel like we're at the point where hopefully, we're providing, some valuable content, entertaining content, educational content that you guys see some value in and want to support that stuff. Yeah. I mean, not just with us, but, with bikepacking.com. I don't know if Radavis will go down that route, but I think it's, like in the long term, like advertising model I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah, I think
especially with the state of the bike industry.
I don't think anybody knows if like one way is better, because your model isn't membership.
No, it's not membership. It's purely through the goodness of your guys' hearts. Right. But it is a direct appeal to like the people consuming the media.
Right, and I think that there's a lot of, I think that's, like people giving money for what do you use to weigh something? The
scale, the digital scale.
Scale.
It's not up here.
All right.
I was so stoked on that. Like
at an ounce and a half of Stagg Jr. Toffer.
All the words.
Digital scale. What's that?
Yeah, I love that he was so fed up with my bathroom scale measurements. He was like, "Here, just buy this scale." He was very particular. But yeah, I mean that's kind of like how there's like I get some money from AdSense. It's not very much.
Right.
Like this bottle probably costs more than what I get per video.
Yeah. It's weird as these things grow. I mean, as bike touring kind of grows into this new thing and absorbs gravel and like all these things are kind of feeding into each other.
Right.
It's interesting to see them grow because it's like in some ways you can miss. It's not like a selling out thing. Like I feel like my 90s Toffer is like upset at Pearl Jam or something here, but it's more like there's in some ways you're just like, oh, I miss the old version of something, and like it felt like
it's less punk rock.
Yeah, I mean it felt like I just remember like when I first read bikepacking.com, it was like Logan's stamp was like all over it, and you could just tell you got a sense, and I think sometimes that can get. Right. As more people get involved, it has to, but then you're kind of like,
Yeah.
I miss that. But that happens with other things too. I mean, like I feel that way kind of about Swift or some like other companies are like, I remember when they were before they. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the only like disingenuous thing about like the whole bikepacking membership It's like, so, be a member, support the community, which is fine, but I mean, honestly, like the website's a business. And like you should stop like kind of pandering to like, oh, it's this community. I mean, yes, there is like a community element to it, but he's trying to keep the lights on and just be upfront about that. I'm not like, hey, support the Supple Life community. It's like, no, I gotta buy some bourbon and pay rent. Like there's no like I don't know. Pretension.
And we're not buying as much bourbon as we used to.
We're getting gifted. I mean, I have like no pretensions of like the Supple Life Club or something. It's just like, if you like what we do, if you value it, then yeah.
The Into Bikes and Bourbon, though, will be when I go off and I start the Supple Life Club.
There you go. And Topper starts cashing in.
I start cashing in on this. Yeah, I'm going to take the path more pedals.
Yeah. Oh, look, the red, it turned red. The audio turned red. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Bikes and Bourbon. Yeah. So until next time.
Keep the supple side down.
Cheers.